Join us and discover beautiful beaches, rugged landscapes, pretty towns, desolate mountain ranges that sweep down to stunning lakes, unique architecture, history and folklore, no shamrocks, no shillelaghs, and definitely no shenanigans, just naked Ireland. My visit to the West Belfast Peace Wall begins in Townsend Street, close to the city centre. And please check out the second part of this film when it's released to see the bits that I missed on this video. This is Townsend Street Presbyterian Church in Belfast's Lower Shankill area, a Protestant loyalist part of the city. And just beside us here is the physical barrier that won't allow us to cross into the Catholic nationalist side of the road. It's Sunday, so it's locked. The wall that we're here to see begins just on the other side of this barrier, and it snakes its way out from the city centre into some of Belfast's most deprived and neglected areas. To find the wall from the loyalist side, we need to backtrack along the streets of the Lower Shankill. These working class and disadvantaged areas of the loyalist Lower Shankill and the nationalist Lower Falls are not only cut off from each other, but the Westlink motorway also separates the two areas from the city centre, either by chance or more likely by design, ghettoising them even further. We can now see the Peace Wall, a grey structure in the distance there behind these railings. But in fact these industrial units form a kind of secondary wall, as you can see from the barbed wire security. Many of these areas we pass through on our walk are plagued with all kinds of antisocial behaviour, and of course the paramilitary groups are also dominant, particularly here on the loyalist side, even now, all these years after the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. We now arrive at the Peace Wall properly, and you can appreciate here this dangerous interface's close proximity to this children's play area. It's literally in its shadow. The wall was constructed in 1969 by the British Army to separate the unionist community on this Shankill side from the nationalist community on the Falls Road side during serious civil unrest. They've remained in place ever since, even outliving the 1998 Good Friday Peace Agreement, and if anything they've become higher and a more formal infrastructure separating the communities here. The industrial wall here takes over from the Peace Wall. This is interesting, as just for a moment on this wall, on the unionist side, we see the type of graffiti that might be common to any city's urban centre. But soon it gives way not to paramilitary murals yet, but to murals reflecting the Battle of Britain, and then a memorial on Sir Henry Patterson, a British soldier who also served as a commander in the Ulster Volunteer Force and who was closely associated with the State of Israel. The politics of Israel has strong resonance for loyalism, where on the nationalist side there's an identification with the plight of the Palestinians. We're now entering one of the most important interfaces on Northumberland Street, and having crossed into the nationalist side, we're now turning and going back through just to show you the kind of no man's land that exists between the two security gates. The murals in this small space are less contentious than those we see from here on. The theme here is one of hope and peace, as you can see. If only everyone here subscribed to this way forward. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We pick up the Peace Wall again here on Conway Street on the nationalist side this time. Now before this wall was erected, this street would have continued straight ahead into the Loyalist Shankill. These peace walls were originally intended to be temporary, remember? Nowadays, new roads and redeveloped housing in these interface areas now follow the contours of the Peace Line, reinforcing a feeling of a more permanent geographical change. These walls are up to 8 metres high in some places to stop bricks, bottles or worse being thrown from one side to the other. We can see in this corner how close a house, constructed after the wall was erected, has dared to edge up to the Peace Line. Now we'll quickly retrace our steps here through the magic of video editing. And you can see here the wall disappearing behind more housing. We pick it up again on the other side of those houses in St Gall's Avenue, and you can see Clonard Monastery just in the distance. This West Belfast Peace Wall is 5 kilometres long, but there are also other interface areas with walls, and not just in Belfast but in Derry and Portadown too. In total, there's an embarrassing 34 kilometres of interface walls, most of them located in Belfast. Now you'll have noticed in the nationalist side of the wall here that the street signs are in Irish. Just a word of explanation for those watching from outside of Ireland. You'll have noticed the Catholic and nationalist population on this side of the divide identify as Irish nationalists, while on the other side the Protestant population identify as British. This row of houses in Bombay Street was completely burnt down by a loyalist mob at the start of the Troubles in 1969. Even now, all these years later, you can see wire mesh protecting the rear of the rebuilt houses, even though there's an 18-foot peace wall there as well. The sectarian violence of the early days of the Troubles caused a further polarisation of communities, as Catholics or Protestants sought to move to areas where they felt safer, or indeed were intimidated from communities where they were outnumbered. On the right here is a memorial commemorating people from this community who were killed in the Troubles. Meanwhile, the peace wall looms ominously in the background. This community, however, has no monopoly on grief. People have suffered on all sides. The wall twists in again behind these houses. The tricolour hanging from the house there leaves us in no doubt which side of the fence we're on. The next set of interface gates are at Lanark Way, off the Springfield Road. Now, a gruesome fact is that 67% of sectarian killings in Belfast happened within 500 metres of the peace wall. There's been talk since 2008 about the possibility of removing these peace walls. There were some trials opening a number of these structures in 2011, but a majority of residents believed that at this point the walls were still needed to prevent violence. There's an initiative by the Northern Ireland Executive committing to the removal of all peace lines by mutual consent. However, the target for this was 2023, and as you can see, so far they're still here. The slogan on this gate reads, "Today's risk takers are tomorrow's peacemakers," and there's never a good war and never a bad peace. You can just see the peace wall again as it runs along the back of this industrial estate. It's not always easy to follow. Until it emerges again on the Springfield Road. Now, the construction of these walls, you'll have noticed, varies from steel structures to this more elaborate brick version, a signal perhaps that part of the wall at least is here to stay. It's now over 55 years since these lines were drawn. They divide some of the most impoverished parts of the city. If there's one thing people have in common on both sides of these walls, it's that they both deserve better. By the way, if you really like these Naked Ireland videos and wonder if there's some way you can support my work, you may know that you can offer me a donation by buying me a pint. Just follow the link in the second paragraph of the description beneath this video and that'll take you straight to the donation page. It's very simple. Even simpler for those watching on a computer or a TV screen. You can just scan the QR code coming up in the corner of the screen now. And again, that'll take you straight to where you can offer a donation. All donations, large and small, are really appreciated and so useful to the future production process. Another interface gate, this time in Workman Avenue, separating the Loyalist Woodvale from the Nationalist Springfield Road. We pass over to the Loyalist side momentarily again. Please take a moment now to give the film a like if it's been interesting or informative, and please don't forget to subscribe. That's a small gesture from you, which means a lot to me, and it helps so much in building this channel, so thanks for that. And then back out to the Springfield Road where the Peace Line continues. For a while, waste ground separates the communities along this route. However, further along, a fortified police station, which I thought it best not to film, has this wall extended from it, which separates Spring Martin from Springfield. Again, this brick wall looks like it's going nowhere for a while. So it's impossible to cover all the facts relating to the West Belfast Peace Wall in this short film. I've tried to be balanced and informative, but appreciate that the subject is complex and contentious. Feel free as always to give me your own comments on the subject, but as I always say in relation to any films I do on the Troubles, please keep the comments respectful and avoid inflammatory remarks. I think that's why we have the wall in the first place. Check out part 2 of this video as soon as it's released, and look at the other side of the wall. You'd be surprised at how many people have lived in Belfast all their lives and yet have only seen one side of this divide.